Hi guys, Michael Gove is the current Levelling Up Housing and Community Secretary, and of course he's better known as a Brexiteer who made some interesting predictions back in 2016. Gove told the public at the time that Brexit would deliver a stronger economy. He dismissed the likelihood that Britain would struggle to import and export goods as well, and famously he said that the day after the vote, Britain would hold all the cards. However, as the date was set for Britain to eventually leave the transition period, he started to tell businesses that it would be difficult and that they had a duty to prepare. Now, he was interviewed on Thursday by the BBC about Brexit, and his arguments don't stand up to much scrutiny.
How have you made the life of businesses easier by leaving the EU?
Well, as Environment Secretary, I was responsible particularly for the food and drink sector and for farming and agriculture, and we got rid of the Common Agricultural Policy. We're replacing it with a system of public money for public goods.
Sure, but how's that made business easier for people who create jobs and create profit?
Well, it means that the people in the sector for which I was directly responsible have a more rational method of support from the government. It means that there is now a growing market in environmental goods and farmers and others who are working to make our rivers cleaner.
What? Okay, well, first of all, the Rivers Cleaner would park that because of people like him voting to allow companies to pump more raw sewage into the sea and rivers and lakes. But when he said here about the Common Agricultural Policy, the replacement is not actually helping British farmers. They were promised huge amounts of money and none of it has actually arrived. So yes, it's good to promise things, but you're supposed to deliver on it. At least with the Common Agricultural Policy, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I think I have a lot of problems with it. But when money was promised, money was delivered. That's not happening with the Tories.
Our air purer, our soil more resilient.
I think if I was from the CBI, I might be tempted to say, is that it? This great transformation of our economy promised 6 years ago. And you're saying it's the end of the CAP. How has the life of people trying to create jobs and create profits, make UK PLC be better off, been improved so far by Brexit?
Well, first of all, the food and drink sector is our biggest manufacturing sector, so that's one area.
But you haven't actually delivered anything. Where have you helped these sectors? Like at the moment, if British producers want to sell goods into the EU, there's a mountain of paperwork. And it's expensive paperwork. They've had to hire people to complete this paperwork. That's the cost. Brexiteers were saying that there would be no cost. They said there wouldn't be any paperwork either. The whole idea behind Brexit was to get rid of paperwork, but it's actually doubled the paperwork and made it more expensive. So how is this helping? Like he's avoiding the question, of course, but how is it actually helping farmers, or how is it helping those who export food and foodstuffs?
But I would also point out that we are now in control of our own migration policy, so that means that
that doesn't help business. It may be good in its own right, but it doesn't help business.
Well, I think it does, because I think a points-based system allows us to prioritise those people who have the skills and talents that we need.
But you could do that before. It wasn't necessary to introduce this. Like, you could prioritise before, but you decided not to. Of course, you're trying to blame this on the EU and blame this on EU membership. But if we actually look at the immigration policy, businesses can't get the workers they need. He's trying to describe a problem as a success. Yes, look at this wonderful success we've created where businesses can't actually get the workers they need. And it doesn't matter what way you describe these workers. I don't agree with the term skilled and unskilled, but if you want to use those terms, businesses can't get access to the unskilled workers and they can't get access to the skilled workers. So how is this a benefit? You've made the situation worse, not better.
But it also means that we can control migration in unskilled and other sectors. So that is clearly another bonus.
How is it a bonus saying to businesses you have less access to workers? Businesses say, I need 100 workers. And the Tory government says, we'll give you 5. But I want another 95. well, you can try and bring those people in from abroad, but they need visas. Okay, how much does that cost? Well, it costs a certain amount of money and you need to complete the paperwork, and some of them will be rejected. Well, before, I was able to bring them in without any problems. Now, who does this benefit? It doesn't benefit the businesses. It benefits racists. It benefits bigots who vote for the Conservative Party. And of course, the Conservatives need to keep these people happy. But unfortunately, these people are never happy.
Also, it's a bonus. It may be a very good thing, but it's not one that helps Britain get richer, is it?
Well, no, it absolutely is, because if we get the right people here with the right skills and the right talents, and it was the case that we explicitly made clear that we had an approach towards migration that meant...
But you create a barrier. A points-based system is a barrier. You're saying we want to bring in the best people, but you could bring in the best people before, but you don't want to bring in the best people now, or if you do, you're putting a barrier in place before you get the best people. So the best people are available. They could come in before, but you have put in a barrier. A points-based system is a barrier. Doesn't matter if you reach the threshold or not, there's still a restriction.
Those with scientific skills that could contribute to growth would come here. It is also the case, of course, that with gene editing, which is going to be a significant scientific development that will help us grow, that we are now creating a legislative framework that will allow businesses in that area, in life sciences, to...
They keep banging on about gene editing. How is that supposed to help a small business in Manchester who produces furniture? Okay, or someone who produces something with steel, or somebody who produces cheese. How does gene editing help those industries? And most of the employment that is created is with small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses. How are they going to benefit from gene editing? And when it comes to gene editing, the EU, the EU will allow or not allow certain goods to be imported. Now, when it comes to gene editing, the EU allows it for research purposes. But if you're talking about genetically modified organisms or genetically modified goods, the EU has a ban on it at the moment. I'm not sure, I haven't looked into how the details of that ban, but if the UK is deciding to make itself a centre for genetically modified goods, or food or items or organisms, then it's probably not the best place to be doing it, because where are you going to export these goods to? But once again, we're talking about a very small niche within the entire economy.
Grow in a way that they can't in the European Union.
Sorry to wrap you up, it's just because you're a bit late. We've run out of time.
No.
Future possibilities. So how can you help businesses today? Well, we've put barriers to trade in place. How are you going to help businesses today? We've put in a points-based system, so it's more difficult for them to hire the staff they need. And how are you going to help businesses? Well, we have this idea that's probably going to help people maybe 10 or 15 years in the future. Help some people. That's it. That's all Michael Gove has. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.